And welcome to the Beauty is Our Business. And welcome to the Beauty is Our Business panel here at the Undivided We Rise Summit. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Beauty is Our Business panel here at the Undivided We Rise Summit. Black and Latinx communities have an immense amount of buying power when it comes to beauty, yet brands continue to overlook them. While some brands may be delivering on their commitments following last year's call for greater inclusivity in the beauty industry, more female entrepreneurs of color are taking matters into their own hands by creating the solutions for this often overlooked, underserved, and underrepresented sector of customers. So today we're going to be bringing together founders of beauty startups to discuss innovation and growth within the beauty industry. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So super excited to be here. Also honored to be on this panel because we have some really amazing heavy hitters here, women who are really change makers in the beauty industry and great representations of women of color who are using their success to grow communities and really to elevate everything that we do within beauty for women of color. So I'm so honored to be here. I'm going to introduce our amazing panelists. First, we have Monique Rodriguez, the founder and CEO of Mayel Organics. Monique founded Mayel in 2014 after her healthy hair care regimen for her tailbone length hair became somewhat of a craze among her social media followers. The company started with one product and grew to a half dozen collections under Monique's direction, currently distributed in more than 87 countries and can be found in more than 100,000 stores across the U.S. in retailers like Sally Beauty, Target, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, just to name a few. Welcome to the panel, Monique.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Next up, we have Aisha Cevallos Crump. She is the founder of Honey Baby Naturals and Botanica Beauty. After starting her career in engineering and sales and one failed attempt at reality TV, Aisha worked in the beauty and skincare industry for 16 years before creating her own products. First with Honey Baby Naturals, which made her the first Latina to have a natural hair and skincare line in mass retail. And then now with Botanica Beauty, serving the underserved Latinx beauty community and products now available in Target and Walmart stores. Welcome to the stage, Aisha.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
And then next up, we have the amazing Allie Nicely, founder and CEO of Beauty and Color and entrepreneur in residence here at Digital Undivided. Allie began her career at Target, overseeing supply chain for a multi-million-dollar business and served on Target's Multicultural Beauty Advisory Council. Now she's the founder and CEO of Beauty and Color, built to help diverse beauty brands thrive, a business she built in Digital Undivided's prestigious Big Incubator. She's also Digital Undivided's entrepreneur in residence and just ran our Start cohort, which is focused on style and beauty. Welcome, Allie.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna dive right into these questions. So let's talk about, these billion-dollar business ideas. Whenever people think about billion-dollar business ideas, we immediately think of technology. But beauty startups are also seriously disrupting an industry that was once solely for legacy brands. So what do you guys think has contributed to the rise of beauty startups like yours? Why, are people so interested in it now, and why has it become such a profitable kind of sector?
Well, I'll start off. So I love telling this story when I do a lot of public speaking because it just shows the power of us. And it's amazing that small brands, medium-sized brands that were born in our kitchens and in our garages are able to sit on the shelf with Fortune 500 companies. But it's because of the digital power that is out there. It's because of our direct connection to the consumer. And I say it's because the consumer is what's driving it. They're more educated. They're informed. They're asking retailers to put their products out there. They have a direct connection to the brands and the retailers, and they're driving the demand. And I mean, it's been incredible. I've been in this industry behind the scenes for years. And what we've seen in the last 10 years is incredible, where you have so many female founders, small founders, Black, Latina, it is beautiful. And we just keep seeing growth in these categories because of the power of the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely piggyback off of that, Aisha. Was kind of some of the things that I was going to say. But also I wanted to add, the authenticity and community building. At what we do at Mael, we always say that we focus on people first, then product. And that community aspect is so important. I mean, it's easy for the big brands to just put a product on the shelf, right? They don't have to prove themselves. We have to work 10 times harder to sit on the shelf with bigger brands, that all they need to do is, have bigger marketing dollars, and they're easier able to get on the shelf just because of their name, right? But what they don't have is that authenticity, that connection that brands like, Mael, Honey Baby Naturals, that genuine, authentic connection of how we engage and connect with our community. You can't beat that. And when you really focus on how do you build your community up, by giving them hope, by giving them aspiration, inspiration, and over serving them, you win in this category, in this space. And that's why a lot of female founded brands are winning, because I always say, like, no one can connect to us like we can connect with us, right? And that conversation, that storytelling is one of the reasons why a lot of female branded companies are winning in this space.
Absolutely. And then just to add to that, as part of our curriculum in Digital Undivided's program, START, and our big incubator, we teach women of color founders how to properly get out there and conduct consumer research. We teach customer discovery, because oftentimes our products start in our kitchens because we have a problem ourselves, or our friends have a problem and we're creating that solution. But we teach founders that in order to create a scalable and sustainable business, you have to make sure that this problem is widespread, and go out there and talk to people, women who look like you, and figure out what's keeping them up at night when it comes to their beauty regimen, to their hair, and what they truly need. So we're continuing the momentum that's happening in the marketplace, and ensuring that that up and coming founders have the tools and know what it takes to get out there and really solve these problems authentically.
Love that. I think that's such a great point. So let's talk a little bit about what has happened recently. The global pandemic really showed us that if you're a business owner who didn't have a digital component or some sort of contingency plan, it was really difficult, right? This past year. And so I want to talk a little bit about how founders in this space, beauty founders, and particularly women of color, can really prepare for any major changes in consumer behavior. Do you guys have any tips, and what are some things that you did with your businesses to make sure that you could really stay afloat and consistent over this past year?
Yeah, well, I would say that it starts with the consumer. As Aisha said, the consumer drives everything. And when you have the ability to keep your ear to the consumer, you have the ability to react very quickly if you're solely focused on her. And that's one of the reasons why Mael was able to, we experienced tremendous growth over COVID during the pandemic when it first hit, because we understood that, our community is and a lot of uncertainty right now. Our community is hurting, right? So when I talk about overserving our community, how can we overserve, the underserved, right? And so we knew that this digital space was going to skyrocket because people are not watching TV as much, right? The traditional way of marketing is not how it used to be. People are on their cell phones almost 24/7, like I told my team, I said, if people are going to be on their cell phones, I want our brand to be the thing that pops up in their feed. Like a lot of times, like I want to be consistent in our efforts, and I want to continue to pop up in front of their faces because we need to take advantage of this opportunity. But as we're taking advantage of the opportunity, how can we uplift our community? So we went live every day, and we went live to uplift our community. A part of our mission is to excite, educate, and empower women. So we went back to that empowering. How do we empower those that are looking at us for hope and inspiration? So we did a lot of lives. We did a lot of pouring back into our community, giving away a lot of different things. We gave away cars and money. But for us, it was, we need to continue to pour into those that are looking for hope And that was our strategy. And we did it. I'm a CEO that, I lead with my heart, and to whom much is given, much is required. And I knew that we had to give our all. And even though I was exhausted some days, I still did it because I wanted to show up for my community. And you have to be that CEO that listens to her, or whoever your audience is, whoever that, target consumer is. Once you listen to her and you understand her, you'll be able to communicate and speak to her and overserve her in ways that other people can't. And that's how we were able to win during that period. And we're still winning,
That's a great point, being able to listen to the community. Would love to hear from you guys, Aisha and Ali, what you think about, the question.
Surviving. So I give so much kudos to Monique and her team and the My team, because they were tremendous during the pandemic. I mean, you saw them, skyrocketing. On the other hand, I wasn't prepared. And it was the hardest year of my 5 years in business. Because one, people don't realize a lot of small businesses start at home. I didn't buy my first warehouse until January 2020.
Wow.
So put that in perspective. Like, I had just invested all this money into infrastructure and space. And, my husband and I went to business together. My husband actually quit his job the first time in 5 years. And we bought a warehouse, had invested all this money, and we opened our doors March 14th. The pandemic hit, and we were just scrambling to secure resources. We weren't prepared to do the digital marketing. We didn't have the firm in place. And by the grace of God, we worked day and night, my entire family, all of my children, like everybody was here. We were safe. We were covered in this environment. Like, something made us buy this building right before the pandemic. It's like, I really feel like it was like something that drove it. So we picked up our e-commerce, we made a pivot, but unfortunately a lot of my business was all retail, and a lot of retailers struggled. And people don't realize, small businesses, especially women of color, like, I've never had a line of credit. I've never had investment funds. And these are things that I'm looking into now and looking at other companies and what they've done. But, when you're bootstrapped and a pandemic hits and everything shuts down, I'm asking family, friends, like whoever can you help me? And we made it through. And now, we have more orders than I can fill. But I think that's part of the mindset of a CEO and a business owner, understanding pivot strategies. And what are you going to do if? And I think that, if anything, the lessons that me and my family learned in 2020, were really about resilience, strength, passion, and figuring out how to lean on your community. And I reached out to so many other beauty founders. They gave me packaging. They gave me resources. They're like, do you need money? One of my friends gave me a piece of equipment, and we started filling our own product.
Wow.
Like, yes. She actually just called me a second ago, and I'm like, she hasn't asked me for a dime. So we are a community of women that want to uplift each other, and we want to help each other. And I think if you continue to have that mindset about uplifting, the more voices and players there are in beauty, in our category, the stronger we are going to be together. The more shelf space we have, the stronger our voice. So I leaned on friends in the industry, and, we made it through. And now, like, everything is changing my mindset. But it really taught me a lesson about, just really pivoting and understanding the situation and growing from it.
I love that. I love the fact that you spoke on the importance of community and the importance of women supporting each other, women of color supporting each other. It's so important. I think oftentimes our community, we can look to the left and the right and think that other players in the space are our competition. But in all honesty, the more of us there are, the more representation that we have, the better it is for our overall community. So I love hearing that. And that actually leads me to a question that I have for you, Ali, which is about the importance of community, right? Because you did our big pre-accelerator program, surrounded by other founders who were kind of in the same space. And I remember us having conversations about you being able to build community and what that did for your confidence and also for your business. So can you speak to that a little bit, and also how you're seeing that play out as our new entrepreneur in residence?
Yeah, the power of community, especially for us, women of color, is just priceless. Its value is priceless. Its power is unmatched. We have a unique ability to lift each other up in a way that no one else really can. There's nothing like hearing, you can do it, you got it, you're great. Like just that affirmation from someone who looks like you, especially someone who has been in your shoes, or is a peer, or is a little bit ahead. Somebody to help get you on that path to just continuing to believe in that vision. And I think to the question prior, what the pandemic taught me is that as a founder, oftentimes you're going to have a vision and see a solution before the world has caught up, before the world realizes that they need that solution.
Yeah.
So you have to keep going, even if no one else gets it, because one day, retailers are going to take the 15% pledge and all of a sudden they're going to need your brand on the shelf. They're going to need the technology to, help their buyers find said brands, so it's just important to keep going. Right. And the community is part of that equation. One of the things that we recently, brought into our START program this year is a guest speaker series, which meant so much to our silent beauty founders of this recent cohort. We had Alicia Williams from Nash and Pino Nail Care. We had Cora Miller from Young King Hair Care come in and speak. They dropped so many gems. One of the gems and memorable quotes that Cora left us with is, "Don't let anybody make you feel small." And that resonated so deeply with me and with every single person who was there in that space that night. And that just speaks to our role in each other's lives and businesses.
I love that. And I think it's a really good segue into kind of this conversation around the importance of confidence, and also the importance of us seeing ourselves represented in this space. So Aisha, I actually have a question for you as a Latina woman. I'd love to get your take on the importance of, representation in the beauty space. There are some Latina women founders who have carved out representation on the shelves of retailers, but definitely not enough. So what do you think is most needed to kind of advance the success and representation of Latina women founders across the board, and also in beauty?
That's a great question, and it's my life's mission right now. And I just want to back it up and tell a story. I'm 100% Puerto Rican, Boricua, but I was born in Gary, Indiana, grew up in Chicago. My later years. And I always felt I always struggled with my Latina identity because there's so much judgment, and people are like, "Oh, your name is Aisha." My husband's Black, my kids are biracial. And, I was always so proud of my culture, but I never felt like there was a platform to really talk about my culture and beauty. Yeah. And when I first got into retail, there's really not a section for Latinx beauty. And, there's a lot of segmentation. So I was placed in an ethnic category, which is traditionally African-American women, which, is my family. But I really kept raising the question of, well, what about Latinx beauty? And this was back in 2016 when I first launched my first brand. And it still wasn't Latin enough. It was still not, speaking. And so that's why I was inspired to launch Botanica, one more Latin than Botanica, which pays tribute to, the Botanicas and Latina communities and the ingredients and our culture and our story. And, it was just it was a risk. I had a brand, but I realized that Latinx women were so underrepresented. We were not talked about. We were not talked to. There were some commercials in Spanish and they slapped a different label in Spanish, these big companies, and they think that, oh, that makes this Latin. And so for me, it was I wanted to prove to everyone that we are a force to be reckoned with. Our time is now. And we're the fastest growing consumer. We are the fastest growing population. And so the fact that it was 2020 and there was still not a section for Latinx beauty and not a conversation about it, I wanted to pivot and I wanted to change the game. And, that's been, where we are. And I think a lot of it is about education, about understanding that not all Latin women look the same. Mexican women, Puerto Rican women, Dominican women, you have Central American. There's so many different Latina women that have different hair textures. If you look at me, I have wavy hair, barely have any hair. You know, I have very fine hair. You know, seriously, my daughters are Afro-Latinas. They have head full of hair. I mean, I have cousins, like we all come from a different background, but we all, you know, really want to celebrate our roots and our culture and our heritage. And that's the mission. And we just did a campaign. I didn't want to make this just about me and about my Puerto Rican culture and heritage. So we just launched the Caras de Botánica. And we're actually announcing we'll be announcing soon our winners. And it was really about finding women that embodied the culture, the heritage, that had different hair textures. And this is a way for me to uplift other women in the community, uplift their communities through service, and showcase the beauty in all Latina women. And I cried watching their videos and hearing their stories. And I'm just so excited to be able to be a pioneer in this industry and lead the front on Latinx beauty.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And it's so needed. Little Latina women need to see more women like you, Aisha, so that they know it's possible. And so I love hearing that. Monique, I want to kick it to you and talk about your monumental multi-million-dollar investment that your company just received. Congratulations, first of all. I would love to hear more about if there were any challenges for you when it came to fundraising as a woman of color. That's something that we talk about a lot at Digital Undivided. We have our Project Diane report that has a long list of stats and data around how underrepresented we are as far as being able to get investment. So I'd love to hear from you if there were any challenges, and also how you feel like this step that you've taken will open the door for other founders coming behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And, when I think about the challenges, well, number one of the challenges is, having a seat at the table, just getting that opportunity, right? Because the thing is, with people of color, we know how to make a lot out of nothing, right?
Yep.
We have the tenacity, we have the perseverance to just keep pushing, right? And the thing is, we create really great businesses. We create value. We have always created value. We have always had value to bring to the table, right? It's just giving us that opportunity to talk about the value that we bring, right? And that's the challenge. Honestly, being a woman of color is, I just need an opportunity. It's a shame we have to say this, but we got to prove ourselves, right? And so, I've built this brand over the course of 7 years, and the brand has grown very, very fast. And we have done things that clearly hasn't been done in the industry, in the space. But it goes back when people ask the question, like, well, how are you guys able to build this amazing company? Like, what's the secret? Number one, the secret is having faith in God, right? That is my foundation. But also, again, I go back to that connection. When I look at the other brands that I'm competing up against, they can't do what I do. And, no one can beat you at being you. So that authenticity and connection that we bring along with the value, right, that can't be duplicated. And, telling that story over and over again. But, the great thing about, this whole process is that we had an opportunity to talk to several different investors, because it's a whole process and it's a very rigorous, long process. Yeah. But we had the opportunity to opt out of the process and, go ahead, right? And basically sign off on the deal a little earlier. But my husband and I, we came together and we said, we don't want to go ahead, because us speaking to the many different investors that we're speaking to gave them an opportunity to see what we can do and what we can bring and the value that we add, because we knew that this was something that was a unicorn that hadn't been seen before. We wanted to give the opportunity to private equity investors that, very frankly, don't look like us, to see how great and what great of a company we can build, right? Yeah. And so we went through that process of talking to different people just to share this story. So to your question about how does this, help other little women of, young Black girls, women of color, how does it help them going forward? Because I am breaking a glass ceiling so they can come behind me and shatter the next glass ceiling, right? So now when these private equities, they meet with the next generation or the next set of entrepreneurs that are, meeting with them and telling them about their business, they're going to be reminded of this brand Mael and how they did it. And so that's going to, make the process a little bit more easier because they're not going to have any doubts, right? Because they've seen it done, it's been proven, right? And I also thank, Richelieu Dennis, who paved the way for brands like me to do it as well. So if we continue to just pave the way and reaching back and lifting others up and bringing them up with us, then we'll continue to get ahead. And that's how we'll continue to evolve, because we're reaching back and helping others. He's also an investor in my company, but if he didn't reach back out and help me and bring me up, I wouldn't, necessarily be here today with this deal that we have today. And, he was, what he did has never been done. And what we were able to accomplish has never been done by a Black woman in the hair care beauty space. And so it's historic. But again, I don't want to be just the first. I want many more women of color to do the same thing and do it even better than me, because that's how we change the narrative.
Absolutely. I love that. It's about opening those doors, bringing people up, and, making sure that as you climb the ladder, you're pulling people with you.
Correct.
I love, love, love that. Okay. So we're going to close it out. I'd love to have, if each of you could just give me some parting words of advice. Let's say, for example, I'm a founder, I'm a beauty founder, I have a new startup, and I'm trying to understand, what I should be thinking about right now in this space, in this environment. Just give us some parting advice for the founders who are watching.
I'll start, but I also, just really quickly, I just want to say what Monique said is so tremendous. And like, as someone who, follows their brand, like the first thing that came to me is, wow, look what Mael just did. She just elevated the game. And, I remember when I heard it happen, I said, Monique just elevated the game for all of us. Like that's how I felt. And I think a lot of us felt that way. And I hope that we are elevating the game for the next entrepreneur out there that is thinking about a brand. I like to call myself the brand whisperer, because I actually enjoy creating the brands more than anything. And I talk to a lot of young ladies, and people DM me, and I said, sure, give me a call. My husband was like, girl, you are never going to be off that phone. I take calls from random people all the time. It's kind of crazy, but my passion is helping other people believe in their dreams. And I always share, it's funny that I just started telling people about reality TV, my experience there. I'm a poor girl from Gary, Indiana. My grandparents came to this country. They did not speak English. I was the first person in my family to go to college. And I always believed in my strength, in my power, and I had passion. I went to Purdue University for chemical engineering, and no one looked like me. Everything that I've done in my life, like I've been on TV, I've done things, and it's because I believed in myself and I bet on myself. I quit my job to do this. When my family thought, okay, you're kind of crazy, I believed in myself, seriously. And my husband, he's always been there for me. Like, he's my biggest cheerleader. And, it takes a family, it takes a community. But, if you have an idea, do your homework, do your research to look into it. But if you have the passion, that's what you want to do. What's the worst that can happen? Of course, that could happen. The biggest risk is never taking a risk. So believe in yourself, bet on yourself, take the risk, and find entrepreneurs like Monique and myself and, and Allie, who want to help mentor, who want to help you grow, because we're not just doing this for ourselves. And everything Monique said is real, because I've been around her. I've seen her. Like, she's very family oriented like I am. And, we're really about uplifting the next generation. Like, my daughters, they're launching a business like next year, and then I hope that, seriously, like, I want every generation to become uplifted. So, that's the key, is like, believe in your dreams, believe in yourself. And, the worst that could happen is, okay, it might not happen the first time, but what about the second and third time? Don't give up on your dreams.
Yep.
Such good advice, Aisha. Thank you. Any parting words, Allie, Monique?
Yep. I'll go. I would just, words of advice that I can leave, any aspiring entrepreneur is always remain a student. Have the spirit of humility, because you don't know everything. And I've seen a lot of business owners that have an arrogance, and that arrogance is only going to take them only so far, right? You know, your attitude reflects your altitude. And if you have the ability to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you in areas that you're not, do so. Find mentors. Ask as many questions as you can. There is no such thing as a dumb question, but always learn from those who have done it before, right? And when I say to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, it's not to say that you're not smart, but you have a gift, they have a gift, and you have to understand what your gift is and operate in your gifts and talents, and know your strengths and also know your weaknesses in the areas that you are weak, because everybody has weakness, right? The famous billionaires that we admire, Jeff Bezos has a weakness, right? The reason why he's a billionaire is because he was able to complement his weaknesses with people that are stronger than him in those areas. Yeah. So, you know, that's the reason why I'm also here today, is because, you know, I will admit 100%, I don't know everything, but guess what? I will learn.
Yeah.
and, you know, do it better. So always remain a student.
Awesome. Allie?
I would say that my advice is to just become really relentless about understanding your customer and the people that you serve or aim to serve, understand their problem, and understand how you can solve that uniquely. Mm-hmm. You know, the beauty and hair care spaces are wildly competitive. Mm-hmm. And in order to achieve success, you have to know who your customer is, know them like the back of your hand, as they say, and understand what sets you apart, whether that's an ingredient, packaging, however you're going to market. Just really make sure you're carving out that niche and owning that, and just have the courage to keep going. Build a team around you. You know, even if you're just getting started, find an intern, get a friend, find somebody on Upwork to help you. You know, don't try and do it all alone. You need to lean into your community and build an infrastructure that will allow you to keep going. It's not enough to just say keep going. You have to lay that foundation. And programs like START, programs like BIG, we help provide founders with the tools to lay the foundation and the community to help them build that confidence.
Absolutely. Amazing. Well, ladies, it has been such a pleasure. You guys dropped so many gems. And I am just, first of all, wishing you all the best with your businesses, with your future endeavors. I'm incredibly honored that I got to share time and space with you all. And we really appreciate your time, because the founders who are tuning in, you know, we're all looking to women like you who've been able to pave this path and really change the course of what success in beauty looks like as women of color. So thank you so much for your time and your energy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.